First Lady of the Republic of Sierra Leone. National anthem, please. Thank you very much. Please be seated. I now hand you over to the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Basic Education.
Can we now take our seat, please? I now want to call this meeting to order, and I expect everybody to be quiet. We want to proceed with the program, and therefore, before we start, we want to acknowledge the presence of God. We now call on Mr. Muhammad Adams Jallo to lead us in Muslim prayer.
His Excellency, our President, UNIMAK Bio, Her Excellency, Madam Fatima Maada Bio, Ministers of Government, former members of Parliament, civil society, members of the 40 states, our traditional leaders. Okay, no problem. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء وتهدي إنك على كل شيء قدير. تولج الليل في النهار وتولج النهار في الليل ونخرج الحي من الميت ونخرج الميت من الحي وترزق من تشاء بغير حساب. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة لكم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين.
We now call on Reverend Father Michael, the University Chaplain.
Glory to be all in the name of the Almighty God. Let us pray. Loving Creator, we turn to you as we begin this ceremony. We believe that you have gathered all of us here today for this inaugural event. Education, together with faith in God, is the light of the nation. It guides our minds towards a bright future. To be an agent of education connects us with Christ, whom the people call the teacher.
The Christ is willing to share that gift of teaching to those who humbly request for it. Saint Don Bosco said that education is a matter of the heart. May he be our mentor today. Development is a fast and powerful car or machine, very necessary. Education focuses on the driver inside the car. For he or she alone can determine the direction of that development to keep all the passengers on the correct track. The University of Makeni, with their sister institution in tertiary education, intends to promote the dignity of the human person, to train and empower citizens to work for the common good of the country. So let us join our hopes and our dreams with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, Amen. Heavenly Father, bless His Excellency the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, the First Lady and his government, that they may rule with wisdom and justice. Lord, hear us. Bless our traditional leaders, that they may continue to be the custodians of our Sierra Leonean heritage. Our Lady of Fatima, Mary Queen of Sierra Leone, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
His Excellency the President, Madam First Lady, members of government present, with a very short task here to introduce the chairman of this occasion. In a few words, I will say this chairperson is an accomplished and distinguished educationist, under whose leadership, as the technical head of the ministry, we have seen and witnessed development of progressive policies, including the Education Act, for which we are here gathered to witness and sign. She has been an avid teacher, a brother. She studied at the University of University of Leeds, University of Hamburg, and she proceeded to Alberta University in Canada, where she pursued a PhD degree in education, where she specializes in New York environment. During this period of study, she has taught many universities, many schools, many including the University, for 25 years, where she distinguished herself as a professor of education. For 25 years, until after 3 years ago, she decided to come back home and lend her enormous experience, expertise, and support to the education reform effort by His Excellency the President. The chairman for this occasion is no less a person, and I would like all distinguished ladies and gentlemen present to welcome the chairperson of this occasion, who is no less a person other than Dr. Yata Kano, the CEO of the Basic and Senior Education.
Thank you very much. Dear Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, for all the nice way in which you have portrayed me in a nutshell, both as an academic and as a professional educator. What he fails to tell you, and I think this is intentional, are all of the other unsavory parts of my characteristics. So he decided to hide those to make me look good for our audience this afternoon. Your Excellency, Mr. President, our beautiful, dynamic, supportive First Lady, Speaker of the House of Parliament, Honorable Ministers of the Government of Sierra Leone, esteemed partners in development, the Sierra Leone Teachers Union, the CSOs who are represented here this afternoon, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Makeni that has graciously agreed to host us for the signing ceremony of our Education Act. Thank you very much. And of course, the Chief Administrator of the City Council of Makeni. I thank you all for putting in the time or making the time this afternoon to be a part of the assent of the Ministry of Basic Education Act. The Education Act of any country, including Sierra Leone, is the main piece of legislation that governs education in that country. It sets in law the powers and authority of the Minister of Education as well as officials in that ministry. By any measure, therefore, the Education Act that we have developed for you is an integral part of the education reform agenda of our President Julius Maada Bio. Here, it is my great honor to serve as chair for this auspicious occasion. I will leave it to our young, dynamic, and forward-looking, ever forward-looking Minister of Education to tell you the forward-looking elements of this act. At this point, suffice it to say that this act derives its authority from the Constitution of Sierra Leone. The plan for this government to develop its human capital or the human capital of its people by focusing on education. And of course, it also derives authority from the voices and hopes and aspirations of Sierra Leoneans as we went across this country talking to diverse citizens, soliciting their opinions, their views on what they would like to see in an Education Act. So ladies and gentlemen, I will now call on the Speaker of the House of Parliament to establish the location of the Education Act within the Constitution of Sierra Leone. Honorable Dr. Abbas Bindi.
Thank you, Madam. Your Excellency the President of the Republic, Madam First Lady and gentlemen, let me start by highlighting two very important chapters of the Constitution of 1991. The only common element between those two chapters is the fundamentality of the two chapters. But the Constitution makes enormous differences between the two chapters. For our present purposes, I'll simply dwell on the key differences between chapters 2 and 3. Chapter 2 speaks about state policy. And state policy, by definition, means precisely what it says: a statement of government intent or objective. Chapter 3, on the other hand, speaks about fundamental human rights. Human rights means exactly what it says: rights of the human being that are recognized by law and ipso facto justiciable and enforceable in a court of law. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are more differences between the two chapters than there are similarities, and you will very soon find out the reason. Those two chapters in our Constitution together constitute the constitutional inheritance bequeathed to President Julius Maada Bio in 2018. And more particularly in the realm of education, that inheritance is more explicitly prescribed in Section 9 of the Constitution. And with your leave, Mr. President, I would like to quote that important section. It reads, "The government shall direct its policy towards ensuring that there are equal rights and adequate educational opportunities for all citizens at all levels by A, ensuring that every citizen is given the opportunity to be educated to the best of his ability, aptitude, and inclination, providing educational facilities at all levels and aspects of education, such as primary, secondary, vocational, technical, college, and university. B, safeguarding the rights of vulnerable groups such as children, women, and the disabled in secure educational facilities. And C, providing the necessary structures, finance, and supporting facilities for education, as and when practicable." Ladies and gentlemen, please take note of the phrase, "as and when practicable." In effect, that phrase is a perfect shorthand that provides an escape route for any president or any government that wants to do nothing about education, and that is unable and unwilling to do anything to benefit the citizens of this country in the field of education. Now, in addition to the objectives I've just mentioned, the Constitution goes a little further. It also states as an objective that the government should, quote, strive to eradicate illiteracy, and to this end, to direct its educational policy towards achieving at least three things. A, free adult literacy programs. B, free compulsory basic education at primary and junior secondary school levels. And C, free senior secondary education as and when practicable. If obligation there ever was, ladies and gentlemen, this is the nature and extent of the only obligation that the Constitution imposes upon the government of Sierra Leone. Nothing more, nothing less. And again, I advise you, take note of the escape caveat, as and when practicable. The key emphasis here is that this is the only obligation, as it were, that the extant Constitution of 1991 imposes on any government of Sierra Leone, the field of education. and it has remained like this since the Constitution was promulgated in October 1991. But again, take note of the caveat, as and when practicable. In other words, if the government were to say it is not practicable to provide the necessary structures and supportive facilities or the money for education to thrive, that is the end of the matter. Nobody can take them to court to compel them to provide the necessary educational structures or facilities to guarantee the provision of education to the children of this country. There can be no greater escape route than this. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, we've all witnessed in our lifetime how several presidents and governments have come and gone since 1991. For example, there has been the government of President Ahmad Tijan Kaba from 1996 to 2007. After that, we've also seen the government of President Ernest Bai Koroma from 2007 to 2018. I have no desire or intention to demean or belittle the policies of those presidents or their governments, still less the value and significance far from it. And those two governments in their own wisdom adopted a host of policies to advance the cause of education in this country, some of which bear enduring fruits to this day. But if truth be told, never in the history of this country have we seen a government that is so ready and so willing to take such bold and courageous decisions in the field of education as the government of President Julius Maada Bio. And all this in his very first term of office. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, the government of President Bio has the rare distinction of being the only government since independence that can rightly lay claim to many firsts. The first to allocate as much as 22% of the national budget in the field of education. The first to declare education as a national flagship. The first to combine quality with free education. The first to provide free food to school children so they don't go hungry and can give their utmost concentration in class. The first to provide free basic learning materials to school children. The first to pay one. In the NPSC, Becker and WAS examination. The first to have its Minister of Basic and Secondary School Education acclaimed as the world's best minister. And we can go on and on. What a relief President Maada Bio's government has provided to parents, guardians, teachers, and students alike. Do we need to ask for more? Never in the history of education in this country has there been a government so benevolent, so understanding, and so charitable. And today, especially as a result of his great achievements during the 5th Parliament of the Second Republic, we can authoritatively declare here and now that the distinction between state policy and human rights in the field of education has become so hugely blurred that we can say it is now a distinction with difference. In other words, Your Excellency, by the policies adopted by your government, you also embellished and fortified all hallmarks of a right, a fundamental human right. And all that now remains is to sanctify and transfer that section of Chapter 2 from Chapter 2 to Chapter 3 of the Constitution. And because of all these new attributes and milestones have escalated and transformed education in this country, this Parliament gladly and unanimously passed the Basic and Secondary School Education Act 2023, which is now being presented to you today for Your Excellency's gracious assent. I commend the act for your assent, Mr. President. I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for that erudite rendition of the social contract between citizens and the government of a country. Now, at this point, I am going to call upon various partners who have stood by us along the journey of education. Some of them hold our feet to fire to make sure that the promises we make in our acts and policies are fulfilled to the letter. The SLTU, you should be here, and we are grateful that you are here. Because even though teachers tend to think that the law has nothing to do with them, where the law of education has everything to do with them. So we are glad that you are here. Let us start our Makeni to give his welcome address.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Madam First Lady of the Republic of Sierra Leone, members of your distinguished entourage, distinguished ministers here present, Honorable Speaker, dear students, members of the Academy, all to observe. It is indeed a privilege and an honor to welcome and host most heartily Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, and your distinguished entourage to the University of Makeni. And I should perform this solemn task of giving your presidential assent to the Basic and Senior Education Act that was passed into law for the improvement of learning outcomes in this country. This restructuring and reforming process to make education free, accessible, compulsory, relevant, all-inclusive, and rights-based. Catholic education shares these values and principles. This vision of education, and indeed the society we want, that respects the inherent dignity of every person, the promotion of the common good, the preferential option for the most vulnerable, the participation of all in the education we want, solidarity and subsidiarity are espoused in this act. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Minister. We thank you and your team for providing leadership in promoting human capital development as the driving force of economic development in Sierra Leone. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, we have positioned ourselves as a university, a diocese, and a church to complement and collaborate with government in achieving these laudable objectives, especially around special needs education, teacher education for those in the remotest parts of the country, and to work with all those who are physically challenged to be fully included in all aspects of life in the country, and to expand the spectrum of band disabilities in serving the most vulnerable in our society. May this celebration increase our concern and love for one another and protect our children and future generations. Indeed, our real enemies are not the other group, the other tribe, the other region, but illiteracy, poverty, corruption, and greed. Once more, congratulate you, Your Excellency, and your team, and we call on the blessing of the Lord on this occasion. May God bless us all.
Thank you, sir, for that warm welcome to the University of Makeni as the host for this auspicious occasion. Next, we come on civil society organization representatives that are here. I said a few minutes ago that we do have people who hold our feet to fire, and the CSO is one of those elements. Welcome, Alfonso, to speak on behalf of the civil society organizations.
Thank you very much, Chair, Your Excellency, the most strongest and powerful First Lady in the world, Madam Fatima Bio, the best minister in the world, Dr. the The last time we had a ceremony like this, 19 years ago, it took only His Excellency the President to redeem Sierra Leone from that quagmire of illiteracy. Your Excellency, I want to draw your attention, all of you, to section 22 of this act, the most progressive education law in Africa. Section 22, pay attention. From now onward, government shall provide 1 year free compulsory early childhood education. It has never happened. This is why the president was chosen among any other presidents to be the head of foundational learning. It is a clear testament of that. Your Excellency, I also want to commend the minister. When you look at the 2004 Education Act, Section 14 makes the minister a dictator. When you look at this progressive 2023, it makes the minister a servant to distribute your goods. Your Excellency, You have legitimized our status as civil society. Section 97 clearly speaks as civil society are key partners of the Ministry of Basic Education. On that note, our role is to popularize this act. It's a new one. We need to engage at village chiefdom level so that they can know that you have transformed education. This is why the thing for the education safety plan is transforming learning for all. You must go by the principle. We now have radical inclusion in this act. We now have the office of the Deputy Chief Education Officer in terms of education service delivery to assist the Chief Education Officer in her duties. This is the most progressive law. But I want to make one appeal. We have engaged people in the south, we have engaged people in the west with our team, my votes, my education, my peace. We have not come to the north, and just this morning we were attacked by the safety and the CSC in all kind of market. The minister of tribe have given us the support. Let me not miss Bogaba in all kind of north as an institution. We have done it in the south. We have one of the photos, Mr. Minister. We just did the one yesterday. Let's engage our people in the north and northwest. I think the Honorable Afakan is also here. Finally, for the parents, we civil society not for meeting our politics. But we don't get Nasalo, we don't get so dumb for that. Anytime you are left alone, I continue in the court time, when in the court foot. It is President Dr. Change that trajectory. They will point education. They will point education. So from the heart, June 24, there is no need to change the driver. Let's continue with this driver.
Thank you very much for writing up the gathering this afternoon. Thank you, Alfonso. Sierraleone Teachers Union, was anybody able to travel? Then the SFTU.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic, Madam First Lady, Honorable Speaker of Parliament, our Honorable Ministers present here today, all the Portugals of the ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I bring you greetings from the National Executive of the Sierraleone Teachers Union and the entire teachers of this country. I want to start by saying, like the chief who happens to be our chair this afternoon earlier stated, that most times people expect a trade union to be fighting, and even our membership are saying fight, fight, but there are different ways to fight. We fight all the time, and definitely last year we had also one of the most progressive collective agreements between the employers of teachers in Sierraleone and, of course, the Sierraleone Teachers Union representing teachers in this country. Today is another milestone, very historic. In fact, historic to the sense that this is the time, first time the president is moving from Freetown to the provinces to give an assent to the law. We want to thank you and appreciate you for that. We also want to affirm the fact that in putting these acts together, we as teachers in this country, we are consulted and participated actively in ensuring that the aspiration of the government in having a progressive act is achieved. I also want to affirm the fact that we've had a very good working relationship with the ministries of basic and senior secondary education, and of course, the Ministry of Higher and Technical Education. For some people, they may have a few doubts, but the fact is some of our members are under the Ministry of Higher and Technical Education. And so, the professor here has also been very, very open in terms of engaging with the union. We want to appreciate you and we want to ask that you continue to have open door policy. However, we believe and hope that all the policies we have put together in this law, the ultimate is to ensure that we have improved and quality education in this country. And we believe the major drivers of these are the teachers. In as much as we are thanking you for all the efforts, for everything you have done for pupils in this country, including teachers, we will always ask for more to be given to our teachers to ensure that we all achieve all the aspirations we have for this country, to ensure that the quality of education continues to improve. And we want to assure you, as a union, that we will give our required support to ensure that the aspirations in this law is achieved. I want to thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sierra Leone Teachers Union, for that pledge. We will make sure that we hold you accountable to that pledge. Of course, as teachers, we always know that we keep to our pledges. Cool. So we move on to our partners in development. Is anybody? Okay. Just be reminded of the brevity of the time that we have here, because His Excellency has other activities he needs to attend to. So the rest of the speakers, please be aware of two things. First, cut out the protocols. Just stand on existing protocols. That will save you 1 minute. And then after that, you go on to your 2 minutes presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, and all protocols observed. I bring you greetings for PAN International. PAN International is honored to be here today to witness the signing of the Basic and Senior Secondary Education Act of 2023. We commend the government of Sierra Leone for recognizing the importance of safe, quality, and inclusive education. The signing of this education act today reassures Sierra Leoneans, particularly girls and children with disability, from marginalized settings and newly realize the whole nation. Your Excellency, sir, Plan International advances students' rights and equality for girls by ensuring that the land live beside and thrive. Education is a key to unlocking a brighter future for our children and young people, and the foundation upon which we build our society and our economy. Our girls can stand strong if they learn skills for work and life in a safe and inclusive environment. They can stand strong by taking action on issues that matters to them, by having control over their lives and others, and finally by growing up care for and free from violence and fear. Your Excellency, sir, the Education Act of 2023 is a comprehensive piece of legislation that will help to ensure that every child, particularly girls and children with disability in Sierra Leone, access safe, quality, and inclusive education. We thank the government of Sierra Leone for ensuring that young people are centered in their decision making. The establishment of the Youth Advisory Group by the Honorable Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary School Education to increase the participation of young people in decision making and improve the quality of decisions at all levels. We also want to thank you for providing school meals to children in marginalized communities through the National School Feeding Program. Providing free school meals in pre and secondary school ensures that every child, and especially the girl child, has access to education and the energy they need to stay in and complete school. I thank you so much for your kind attention.
All right, thank you very much to our representative of our co-pilots on our journey of education development in Sierra Leone. We appreciate your cutting your speech into half just to be aware of the urgency of the President's time this afternoon. We give our next 2 minutes to our Honorable Minister of Social.
Chair, Your Excellency, all other protocols observed. In our SLPP Manifesto 2018, His Excellency the President made a promise to Sierra Leoneans that on becoming elected, he would introduce free education from preschool, senior secondary school as a centerpiece of his administration. And in a statement at the Commonwealth Summit of Heads of States and in the address to the state opening of the first session of the 5th Parliament of the Second Republic of Sierra Leone on the 10th of May 2018, the President repeated his pledge, and I quote, to increase access to quality pre-primary, primary, secondary, technical and vocational education and training, as well as university education, and stated that starting September 2018, his government would introduce free education from primary level to senior secondary level as promised. To accomplish that particular pledge, His Excellency the President established the Ministry of Primary Education. Initially, it was transformed to the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education and the Ministry of Technical and Higher Education. Myself and my able deputy, Madam Emily Gogra, I believe she's here, was given the task to translate that particular dream to a reality. We are put under immense pressure from the leadership of government that come September, when schools will have reopened, His Excellency the President has wanted to see that the free quality school education was officially launched. We spent sleepless nights, myself, our able staff in the Ministry of Education, and ensure that His Excellency the President dream became a reality. And on Monday, the 20th of August 2018, at that historic day at the Miata Conference Center, His Excellency the President launched a free quality school education program with the theme Translating a Dream to Reality. Cognizant of the huge financial, material and human resource requirements, His Excellency the President also announced the establishment of an Education for Development Basket Fund and set up 2 committees to help establish this particular program. One, there was the Ministerial Committee, it was headed by Professor Francis, then Chief Minister. And secondly, there was a technical committee established to help ensure that we translate the dream to reality. The first deliverable was to identify the key components of the system itself. And here they are. They may have been reformed. First, we have to ensure there is access, equity, and completion. Second, we have to ensure there is quality, relevance, and integrity of the system. And thirdly, we have to ensure that there is system-centered, that is education governance. The task that we are also challenging ourselves was to ensure we operationalize the Teaching Service Commission, which we did in record time, and also to establish a free quality school education secretariat to ensure that all aspects that need to be taken into consideration to ensure the effective take-up of the system is done. I believe as I sit here, we have the staff of the free quality school education program that have helped in ensuring that we translate the dream to a reality. And Your Excellency, one of the key promises you made to the peoples of this country was that when you are elected, the first thing you would do was to eliminate the SS4 system. And that was the slogan you had. Maada Bio said, no SS4. I think you've forgotten about that when you were campaigning to tell your Sierra Leone that was the first achievement that you did in ensuring that you keep to your manifesto. That we are able to achieve. Your Excellency, the path that we have taken to where we are today is very significant. And in that launching of the free quality school education program, this was what I had to say. And I think I should mention it because of the importance that you have attached to the education system itself and the accomplishments that have been made by my successor, David Senge, after my exit at the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education. And here it goes. I said at that time that today we are taking the first officially announced step along the path to free quality school education program for all Sierra Leone. This is not just a journey that can be completed by a government of any developing country in a day, month, or year, as some critics will allege. Rather, it is a journey that requires God's divine intervention, determined political leadership, proper planning, as well as sufficient and efficient management of resources to make the journey completion certain. With my exit in the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education and Excellency and replaced by a younger brother, Dr. David Senge, today we have seen the transformation that the system has taken. So I pride myself, together with our team, for having been part of this particular transformation. And I want to believe that this is also just the beginning. I want to end my statement by saying that today we are witnessing the signing of the Act, the Basic Education, Senior Basic Education and Senior Secondary Education Act, here in my former alma mater, St. Francis Secondary School. And here we know great things they expect from us, but not so. We will not be disappointed. So I'm very happy that Your Excellency and the Minister of Education took the decision to come and make it in my own alma mater. I want to thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to make a statement, and I want to assure each and everyone here that President Maada Bio's human capital development terminates with his signing of the Employment Act of 2023. When you have free quality basic education, you transit to higher education, and from there you enter the world of work. Last month, His Excellency has put his signature on the Employment Act of 2023. My speaker seated here would attest to the fact that this is one of the most progressive legislations in the world of work. So I want to believe that His Excellency the President has set the trajectory right for the people of this country by making sure that in his human capital development agenda, from pre-education to tertiary education, and finally to enter the world of work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I love history. Not only does it take us to the past to tell us how we got to be here today, it also lays down the path to the future. I also thank you for making the brilliant connection between what we do in the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education and how that is linked to the work of the Ministry of Higher Education and eventually to the Ministry of the World of Work. Mr. Minister, Higher Education, the floor is yours for 2 minutes.
Your Excellency, I have removed my jacket and I have removed 20 years of my life as well. I thought I would feel young and I thought you would mistake me for David Senge. But I recognize that whatever I do, Senge is indeed special. A big hand to David Senge. You know, at the last convocation of Atjala, I had to give a statement. Whilst I was walking towards the podium, someone said, Nana Alpha would part. And they said, yes. He said, another 8? Well, I'm still around, and the 204 Act, Education Act, was promulgated by me and the Ministry of Education. And someone said it is dictatorial. You are right. You are right in many ways, because during the war, things happened. And those things had to be corrected rapidly. One such thing that happened then was that a large number of people could not access school during the war. And therefore we had to go through completely rapid primary school education, in which 6 years was condensed to 3 years. It has to be done with some emphasis, a touch of being a dictator. Women of the North in particular, the access rate to school was very low, and therefore they had to be supported by school fees, supported by uniform, and enforced to go to school. It had to have a touch of a dictator. All of this, however, is far short of what His Excellency Brigadier Retired Julius Maada Bio is doing now. Far short. By that I mean we supported girls in North and East. Today we are supporting girls and boys, from primary to end of secondary school. A very big hand to His Excellency. You know, the young people that are here, we are here today on your behalf. If you know you are young, stand up. What Sierra Leone calls youth is under 35. Stand up, please. Under 35. Stand up. Stand up. Don't be shy. Stand up. Give a very, very big hand to His Excellency. Wave indeed. You know, the main change here is that His Excellency has taken the time to come to Makeni, the headquarters city of the North, to give assent to this act. Because this queue has to be corrected. We have been playing the word is catch-up for many years. The first school in Sierra Leone in the provinces is the old school, 1906. The first secondary school in the north was in the 50s. There is a 50-year gap. During the war, the north and the east also suffered a lot more. Hence, the corrective measures. His Excellency has taken the time to come to Makeni to let you know that this act is principally for our people from the north. Let's give him a very big hand. Traditionally, our people do not go to school early enough. Now they say compulsory early childhood education. age 3, 4, you should go to school. Who would be the biggest beneficiaries? Us, the Northerners. We go to Arabic schools and therefore we cram a lot. And therefore comprehension is weak. So foundation learning that will make you become a bit more, improve your comprehension skills and literacy skills, we will be the greatest beneficiaries. Each time, give a big hand to His Excellency. We may find it difficult to have 3 square meals as well. So school feeding is going to be a good one. I enjoyed that in the 60s. We used to call it polgo. And the 60 meal was quite good. So when I went to the post school, condom was okay. It was in fact luxurious to have. At the grammar school, I met some rascally people too. And Alpha Cam is one of those I met at the grammar school at 60. But this act is going to consolidate community participation. The act is going to ensure that you start vocational and technical training at school. Vocational and technical training at school. The act will encourage people to be exposed into digital education. The act is going to make it law for education to be free. You know, my brother, Dr. Abbas Bodo, said support to the citizenry to access all layers of education. The act says as and when, or the Constitution says as and when possible. Now His Excellency the President is going to make it by law that education is going to be free in Sierra. A big hand to the government. You know, when he was coming in, you can tell, he has this tan face. But he has a beautiful nose. And I said, from this day, we are going to adopt him in Makeni. From this day, with this nose, he's going to be a brother of all of us in Makeni. Are Bombali people here? Are you here? Well, now shake the hand of the next person to you. Say, my vote, my education. Say it again. Say it again. Say it again. Indeed, with radical inclusion, with the opportunity for disability to get back to school, it is now clear that we have to focus on teacher education. It is now also clear that the young people here should know what is good for themselves. Shake the hand of the next person to you and say, my vote, my education. My vote, my education. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. You always make me laugh so much. The speeches that you give are never formal, but they are entertaining and informative to bring life into any occasion. Now, students, I didn't welcome you, but that was intentional. I decided to leave that honor to your vivacious and beloved Minister of Education.
Madam Chair, Your Excellency, Madam First Lady, please permit me to stand on existing protocols. At the start of this program, the chair said that I would speak about where the act is today and what the vision is in there. I wouldn't do that, unfortunately. And I wouldn't do that because the person whose vision it is will do that. Now, the very difficult, but it becomes very easy when your boss is the person who knows more about the vision than you. And this is where we are, where His Excellency is the primary champion of education in this country. So I will not speak too long. I will just highlight a couple of things. Today, we have 12,466 schools. Nearly 20% increase in the number of schools since His Excellency came into power. 83% of those schools are public schools. Enrollment over the last 5 years has gone nearly 70%. What this means is that for the first time in our history, we can actively begin to move towards eliminating illiteracy. In that system, we require teachers, and 86% of teachers in this country are in public schools. It is no longer a right that you have to pay for to access quality education. But all across this country, at the farthest points in this country, there are teachers in our classrooms with the right qualification who are teaching our children. 62% of all teachers in this country, much higher than our neighboring countries and the people in this subcontinent, are qualified. Before 2018, recruitment of new teachers had stopped. Today, we have about 17.5% of our teachers are newly recruited teachers. What is important is that the kinds of transformations that we have seen is not one that you can hide. You can deny, but you can only be lying to yourselves because it is there for everybody to see. Your Excellency, every child in this room, everybody in here has benefited from free quality education. Everybody in here. And this is important because it doesn't matter where you live in this country, you would have used the solutions, the technology, the policies, and the regulation that we have developed. Now, before His Excellency comes up to speak about the vision within this new act, I want to mention something which perhaps other people may not see. When you came and you said free quality school education in 2018, you could have asked that the new law be written then. But you didn't. Instead, you asked for us to have 5 years of experimentation, 5 years of learning, 5 years of design and innovation, 5 years of partnerships, local and global, 5 years of engaging with communities, 5 years to develop what today is the most advanced education act for basic education in the world. To learn and to understand what we have done. My message to them is simple. I say, you can know the links, but the most difficult part of the job, I can't help you. The most difficult part of the job for any Minister of Education in the world is that they cannot own His Excellency President Julius Maada Bio. And I do want to end my statement by saying that it's been such an amazing privilege and blessing for everybody in the education sector to be in a position where we can believe that we can imagine, we can dream, we can learn, we can innovate, because we know that the leadership of this country is doing exactly that. That's why this morning when I came, I went to Professor Alpha to St. Francis to monitor the ongoing maths exams. And we went into the classroom and I told the students, without all this fire, and they laughed at me, and they said, we know this fire, we don't start posting that day. And I spoke to the principal. I said, you were approved as a principal by this government. He said yes. I said, tell me one thing that you have done that is transformational. You could at least have done it. He said, one thing that I did was I was able to go to my shoot at St. Francis. Now, these little things that we do not always pause to speak about, that St. Francis could go to my shift because you instructed it, that our children can go and take class when elections are about to happen safely, freely, and peacefully in this country, undisrupted, that our teachers today can continue learning and upgrading themselves. These little things are why today Sierra Leone is the best place to be in the world for transforming education. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, beloved Minister. The MDSSA is privileged to have been given the opportunity to be part of this journey. At this juncture, may I ask our beloved First Lady to introduce the President of the